iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
It's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. So big signing yesterday. We know that. Big signing yesterday. Boston Red Sox get J.D. Martinez, 5 years and $110 million. So if I understand this correctly, the deal is front-loaded. So he's going to get like $72 million in his first 3 years. Right? And then at that point, if they want to get rid of him, I think there's an out. So I think the newest thing that they seem to be doing with players nowadays and contracts is front-loading these contracts because these players want a lot of money. But the teams don't want to necessarily give them all this money. So Scott Boras ingeniously, and it is ingenious, basically says, look, I want a $110 million contract for 5 years, but I want 3 years at $72 million, and then you can both get out of it. So the team is like, look, I'm only putting up $72 million, not $110, and I'm not stuck for 5 years if this relationship is going to disintegrate. This may be the newest thing. This may be the newest thing that happens. So it's something we have to watch very carefully moving forward with contracts. Hosmer did it. J.D. Martinez did it. This is the new thing. So it'll be very interesting to see how this shakes out in the future. So before I get to the Chicago White Sox, which I will get to in a second, start taking a look now about guys who are injured. You know, Michael Conforto starting to hit off a tee. Okay, just file that. Maybe this guy's doing a little bit better. Let's take a look at a guy who's, a player, young player, Nick Senzel. Where's he going to play in camp? What's happening with Jesse Winker and the Reds? Start paying attention to what's happening with players. Very important as spring training moves forward. We've got to know what's happening because we need to keep on top of this. We have to. If we don't have the information at the tips of our fingers, we will lose. All right, so I think many of you yesterday wondered who I would have taken. I don't know if that happened. I ended up getting Jose Altuve with that pick. So if you listened to yesterday's podcast, and I told you it was Arenado, it was Altuve, it was Trey Turner, I ended up taking Altuve as Arenado went second. My second round pick was Francisco Lindor. So my first two picks were Altuve and Lindor. I'm liking that up the middle. Pretty strong up the middle with those two. And then I came back and took Josh Donaldson in the third round. I'm pretty happy with that team. In my other team, I don't know how happy I am. I got to be honest with you. I don't know how thrilled I am. I've got, let's say, Yohan Moncada, Ronaldo Odor, Josh Donaldson, Gary Sanchez, Marcell Ozuna, Mookie Betts, Severino, Aroldis Chapman, Luis Castillo. It's okay. It's not sensational, but, maybe I'll like the team more as we move forward. Okay, right now I want to turn my attention to the Chicago White Sox, and we'll do a little podcast preview right here. And let's start with Beef Wellington himself, Wellington Castillo, the catcher. Look, he's 30 years old. You know what Beef Wellington's going to do. He's going to hit about 270 with about 18 or 20 home runs, 50 or 60 RBIs, and he's not going to suck. And I think there's something to that for a catcher. Knowing that your catcher is not going to suck is very advantageous because I don't want to put a big zero there. So I don't want to spend a lot on Castillo. I want to spend just a little bit on him. But I think using him in like round 10, 11, 12, there's value to him. So there's Wellington Castillo for you. Go get him if you're somebody who likes to wait till the middle rounds for a catcher. At first base, the White Sox best player is Jose Abreu. Okay, Jose Abreu has been in the league for 4 years. Here are his numbers. 36-107, 30-101, 25-100, 33-102. How's that for consistency? And he always hits around 290 or 300. So nothing not to like with Jose Abreu at all. I mean, I'm a fan. I think he's the ultimate third-round player. If I'm not mistaken, he just went 310 in one of my leagues. It's about right. Let's see the other league where he went. This is a 12-team league. Oh, probably much earlier than that. Jose Abreu. One moment, please. Please hold. Yeah, round 3-8. So that's where he's going. He's going 3-8, 3-10. He's a third-round pick. You get Jose Abreu in round 3, you've done something right. A good, solid player. At second base, I like Yoan Moncada. I do. So, look, at some point you have to trust yourself. I trust myself with Moncada because I think this kid's a star. How many guys can do what he can do? So I just took him recently in a draft. I told you that. I took him in the 9th round of a draft. Why? Because he can go 25-25. How many players can go 25-25? Now, will he get 25 home runs? Maybe not. Will he get 25 stolen bases? Maybe more. But I want a piece of this kid because he's going to be really, really good. I just know that. Now, I know that the problem is the average might be an issue. Could he hit 230, 250? I don't know. But I know the power's there and I know the speed's there. And I'm willing to take a chance on skills. I can tell you this. I don't know how good Yoan Moncada is going to be, but I think this guy's an all-star within 3 years. So I want a piece of it. Let's talk about Tim Anderson here at shortstop. I'm a big, big Tim Anderson guy. And I think a lot of people won't take Tim Anderson because they'll look at last year and they'll look at his strikeouts and they'll see that he had 162 strikeouts and 587 at-bats. And that is a huge amount. Huge. And people will go, the dude's 24 years old. He's 24 years old. He had 17 home runs. He had 15 stolen bases. I mean, look, he's a player. Couldn't he go 20-20 this year? He's 24. So I think that this guy's going to have a much better year. And I think I can steal him in the mid-rounds because people will look elsewhere. And I'll look at Tim Anderson. And I will say that his batting average will improve. What if he goes from 255 to 275? All right, what if he cuts down his strikeouts from 162 to 148 and makes 10 of those a hit? Boom. Who's the beneficiary? Me, Dr. Roto. All right, Yolmer Sanchez is the third baseman there. And Yolmer, look, he can play a little second, a little third. He does a little bit of everything. I don't think he's a really great player, but, we definitely saw an upgrade in his skills. He had 484 at-bats last season, 12 home runs, 59 RBIs, hit 267. In an AL-only league, he doesn't suck. That's what I look at a guy in. An AL-only league, he doesn't suck. So, there you have it. In right field, you have Avisail Garcia, who, hit 330 last year. He had 18 home runs. Now, look, I don't think he's a 330 hitter, but I think there's more power in his bat than 18 home runs. So I think the 330 goes down to like 290, and I think that the 18 home runs goes up to about 25. I think there's more power there than we saw last year. I'm not a big Avisail Garcia fan, but I like him just enough to take a shot on him, but I won't draft him too early. Charlie Tilson's a very interesting player. If I told you in 2015 and when he was in AA he had 46 stolen bases, would you be shocked? And then in AAA he had 15 stolen bases. This guy can run. The problem was last year when he was supposed to do something, he had a stress fracture in his ankle and he was done. Boom, see ya, adios. Arrivederci, Charlie Tilson. Well, now he's going to come back and they expect him to be the starting center fielder. If he is, would it shock you if he stole 20 stolen bases? If he had 20 stolen bases? Wouldn't shock me. I like the guy. I'm taking him very late in drafts. If I need speed, I'll look at a Charlie Tilson. So at left field, the White Sox have Nicky Delmonico, who came in last year and was very hot. This guy came in and channeled his inner Kevin Moss, right? Came in, jacked like 9 home runs in a couple of weeks, looked really good, but he's not the future. Eloy Jimenez is the future. This guy, they're raving about how good he is. He was with the Cubs. He came over for Jose Quintana. Quintana went to the Cubs, and Jimenez went to the White Sox. This kid's going to be a player. The question is, when does Jimenez come up with the team? May, June, July? As soon as he does, Delmonico's history. Seriously, history. I like Matt Davidson a little bit, only because Matt Davidson has power and he'll qualify all over the place. I don't love him as a player, but I think there's power there. And look, 30 home runs are 30 home runs, and he can hit 30 home runs. He's got that kind of power. When I look at the pitching staff for the Chicago Pale-Hose, the White Sox, it's not good. It really isn't. So what you have to do with the White Sox and their pitching staff is just take a step back for a second and breathe. Firstly, I have no interest in Juan Minaya. I think this guy's terrible. If I'm going to look for a guy in the bullpen, I'm going to look at Joakim Soria. I think Soria is legit. He's always done a good job wherever he's been. He's not young, I get that, but he always finds a way to get guys out. I think he will continue to do so here. And I think he ends up as the team's closer. I do. After that, though, I don't really like anybody else in this bullpen. I like Nate Jones just a little bit. Maybe I expect him back around opening day. I like Nate Jones. I don't love him. The starting staff has a couple of guys I really do like. But let's talk about this for a second. Ronaldo Lopez and Lucas Giolito will one day be very good pitchers. Giolito especially is going to be a good pitcher. But he's 23. And he was terrible in AAA last year. Terrible. He had a 4.48 ERA and 1.41 whip. I mean, that's terrible. So, people look at that, but then he came up in the majors and he was good. He had a .95 whip. He's not that good. So he's not as bad as he was in AAA, and he's not as good as he was in the majors. So, Lucas Giolito is going to be a top pitcher. I just don't think it's going to be this year. So if I'm playing in a redraft league, I don't want him. Same with Ronaldo Lopez. This guy throws very hard. I love him. He's a power arm. And he was a decent pitcher in AAA. But he came up and he wasn't so good in the majors. He will be good in 2020. I'm not interested today. I'm not interested in Carlos Rodon. The guy's got shoulder issues. He's not 100% healthy. And even when he pitches, he still has a lot of walks and he lets up a lot of home runs. How about James Shields? The guy's like 48 years old. I mean, he's gotten worse and worse every year, and he's in a bad ballpark where they let out home runs in droves. Why do I want this guy? So I don't want Rodon, I don't want Giolito, I don't want Shields, I don't want Lopez. The only guy I want is Michael Kopeck, because this guy's special. Now look, if you made me the general manager for the Chicago White Sox, I'd make Kopeck my closer. Because I think this dude, he throws 100 miles an hour, and he can come in and be a Goose Gossage, Lee Smith, Bruce Sutter, end this game. Problem is, they never like doing that. They love starting these guys. The question is, at some point, he's going to go to the bullpen. But in Double-A last year, 119 innings, 77 hits, 6 strikeouts, 155 strikeouts to 60 walks. Hello! I'll take that all day. Went up to Triple-A, and it was pretty good too. So this is a guy who's coming. The question is when? Will it be this year? I don't know. I think we see Kopeck, but probably not till at least the All-Star break. At least the All-Star break. No sooner than that. So I don't know what his value is when he pitches, I don't know, like Giolito, 7-8 times? What's the value? There's high value for Kopeck in a dynasty league, but I don't think there's any value for Kopeck in a redraft league. Maybe when he comes up, but why am I going to stash him now? If I draft him now and stash him, he's not going to play for the next 3 or 4 months, so I'm just wasting a roster spot, which I don't want to do. Why do I want to waste a roster spot now? Maybe I could pick him up a few months from now. I love the upside. I love the pitcher. I just don't know if he's ready. And more importantly, I don't think the team thinks he's ready. The team thinks he's close, but why would you start his time clock? You keep him in the minors as long as you possibly can. That's what you do with a player like Kopeck. So he's supremely talented, a guy I really like. That's the one pitcher I want to have in the White Sox, but not just yet. All right, you know what I want to do? Right now, I want to go to scoutdfs.com. I want to sign up for a 7-day trial. Steve Renner going to a live final for NHL. Fuego Steve going to a live final for NBA. I could have 2 rich friends very shortly. And hopefully they remember their friend, Dr. Roto. That's all I'm saying. I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe they'll remember me. Maybe they won't. Who knows? All right. But right now it's time to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. Going to be back with more podcast previews and more analysis to help you win your fantasy football league. So I'm wishing you guys a great day. This is Dr. Roto saying be well. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!